guest today, everyone. He's the author of an awesome party planning handbook, The 2-Hour Cocktail Party, How to Build Big Relationships at Small Gatherings. Say hello.
Hey, everybody.
I know from reading your book that you love a good icebreaker, so I've got one for you. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Someone hands you an envelope of $3,000, and you have to spend it traveling for a weekend. Where are you going?
Okay, great. So one weekend, a spot that I've wanted to go to is Buenos Aires.
Ooh.
And I've never been there before. And the currency has just gotten pounded. So I think that $3,000, I'm going to live like a prince. That's where I'm going.
The Prince of Argentina.
Yes,
Okay.
that's me.
I love that. So just for our listeners really quick, our travel company books group airfare. So for those of you listening that aren't familiar with corporate trips, these trips are called team offsites, incentive trips, or just meetings. And these simply mean a meeting that takes place outside the office. So the goal is to get your team together, boost morale, talk about big picture strategy or goals. And what Nick is here to tell us is how we can break the mold and surprise our attendees, because if you've been in the business for a while, team offsites are structured similarly. So you're not often surprised at these events. You know, it's kind of the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about is...
By the way, I was at a conference in Scottsdale, Arizona a couple weeks ago, and there was a company there, it's like a venture capital firm, that brought 90 of their employees together, and they were there. It was this type of thing exactly. They were doing an offsite at the same hotel that we had our conference. And I saw them and I was like, ooh, what are you guys doing? What are the activities? What are the modules? What is happening?
Are you bonding?
Are you guys bonding, and how exactly? I want to know details. And they said, oh, yeah, well, you know, we went out for drinks and dinner. I said, awesome. Tell me more. What did you do? They're like, well, what do you mean, what do we do? I said, well, you know, were there moderators at dinner? Did you guys have question cards and prompts? Was it structured? Were there leaders at each table? And they just looked at me like I was speaking another language. And I was like, was there no structure or facilitation? And they said, no, there was not. It was just casual hanging out with no set intention. Now, they were happy with it, but I think what we're going to be talking about, Connor Ann, is how to make it better, how to juice it. Is that right?
Yeah, they probably felt really sad after you said that. They're like, damn, there should have been a moderator and we don't have one? What the heck?
What? We're quitting immediately, and they updated their LinkedIn bios, and the rest is history.
Looking for work.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so now your book talks about your foolproof event hosting formula. I want you to tell me what that is.
Okay, so I'm all about hosting 2-hour cocktail parties that can be used to meet your friends and neighbors, or can be used at the office to reconnect with people that maybe you've been remote and you haven't seen them. And so now let's host like a company happy hour. Here's how to do it and how to do it well. Think about my name, Nick, N-I-C-K. I'll tell you the Nick party formula. Easiest way to remember. Can I do that, Connor Ann?
Hit me.
Okay, N stands for name tags. Obviously, you saw that coming. Even amongst your colleagues that you know everybody, if there's even one new person, they don't know. It's hard. Faces and names. We see people in Slack. We don't remember their names. It's not the same. You got to have the name tags. N is for name tags. I is for icebreakers. Now, a lot of people think that the icebreakers are cheesy. I'll try to convince you otherwise. But you do the icebreakers to encourage new conversations, to get people to talk to some new people. I think about icebreakers as green, yellow, red level icebreakers. So you would start your event with a green level icebreaker. All right, so that's I. C stands for cocktails only. I think, maybe in a business setting you have more money, more structure, more resources to do dinner. But dinner is hard because you sit down and you're locked in and you're not going to talk to more people. It's very hard to mix and mingle when you're seated for dinner. Sitting down is the kryptonite to a successful icebreaker. Don't sit down.
And God forbid you sit next to the wrong person,
That's the worst. You're like, I got seated next to a loser.
That can be me because I'm so chatty. Not the loser part, but I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And if I sit down next to someone who's just like, this girl won't shut up,
Yes. They're like, somebody save me. I doubt it. But that could happen, right? So C is for cocktails only. K stands for kick 'em out at the end. You need a hard end time. You need to have a firm and a clear end time, because have you ever been at a corporate event or something? You're like, oh, when is it appropriate to leave? I don't want to be the first to leave. So instead, no, finish it strong. And your employees, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, they'll be so happy that you ended it with generous authority. That's the formula. I've been talking a lot, so I'll shut up for a second.
I love kicking people out. That's so funny. I just got a dog, so it's the perfect excuse. I'm like, sorry, I got to go let the dog out. Sorry.
It really
gotta
is.
Go.
Yes, it is a very big excuse. What type of dog did you get?
I got a toy Australian Shepherd.
That's pretty cool. What's his or her name?
His name is Tuna.
Okay, and what do you like about Tuna?
Oh my gosh, what's not to love? I mean, any dog. I'm more of a cat lady myself, so getting this dog has taught me a few things about myself. But
Respect.
It's wonderful to walk a dog. I'm like truly taking myself on a walk more than him. It's a nice like break in my day. I didn't see that coming.
Yes, it's like a really good excuse. You're right. I like that.
Do you have a pet?
I don't have any pets because I travel a lot and it's really hard. But I wonder if you could bring pets to like a corporate event. That would just make it so much more fun. Everybody wants to talk to you when you have a pet, so that's cool.
Wait a second. Is that an idea, Kenny? A corporate offsite trip, bring your animal.
Yeah, well, we actually floated the idea of, because we're fully remote, but we floated the idea of having an office, and the goal would be to have more animals in the office than people, and that would be like the company, like what the company is known for. Like, you know how like Duolingo on their TikTok, they have Dua, and it's just this big mascot that's, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's wild. But I was like, what if you did that with dogs? And there's just dogs everywhere. That would be amazing to me, but maybe some people wouldn't love it.
I would love that. I would accept more sales calls from SDRs if they were like, look, bad news is you need to come into the office. Good news is we got more dogs than people at the office. I'd be like, I don't care what you're selling. I'm in.
That'd be great marketing. Totally. I love that. Okay, I want to break down your Nick party formula more, though. So icebreakers, we were talking about, red light, green light. What is a green versus a yellow versus a red? Is red more advanced? Are we asking?
Yes, red is more vulnerable. Red is more danger zone. I like to start with a green level at the beginning of the night or the beginning of the event when there's not a lot of rapport built up. Imagine you host a corporate event, a retreat, an offsite, and everybody's just arrived. They're not vulnerable. They're not ready to share. Last night, I went to this amazing mass meditation sound bath experience. Very cool. Check it out on my Instagram story at Nick Ray News. I do fire content on my Instagram. Very proud of it. And so at the sound bath before, he said, let's shake it out. Let's say hey to somebody new. Say your name. Say where you're from. And tell them your favorite snack as a childhood kid. What was one of your favorite snacks? Mine was the little cheddar cheese goldfish. I don't know if you had those. They're salty, they're crispy, they're nice. What do you like, Connor Ann?
I instantly go like Gushers fruit roll-ups. Like that's where my brain goes first. Or Capri Sun.
Or Capri Sun. I never trusted Gushers. I never trusted. You don't know what you're getting into with the Gushers. But that's like a green level. Why is that green level? Easy to think about. No judgment.
Not
Elicits
embarrassing.
a positive memory. Not embarrassing. I like, the one that I use at all my parties and events, is I say your name, say what you do for work, and then say one of your favorite things to eat for breakfast.
Waffles.
What's your go-to? Waffles. Boom. Immediately. She knew it. It was fast. No judgment. You didn't have to think.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's not an embarrassing one.
That's not an embarrassing one. But listen, the theory is, why did that work? It's fast to think about. It was fast to answer. It was positive. You said it smiling. It elicits...
If the guy across the room says waffles, I'm now friends with that guy. Instantly.
Right. Hey, waffle bro, what's up? Let's hang out.
We can form our own waffle clan.
Yeah, start a waffle clan. Who
Love
wouldn't?
it.
Speaking of which, do you guys have Waffle House there?
Oh, yeah. Heck
yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Austin, Texas. There's only 2 Waffle Houses here. I used to go to Waffle House all the time. I lived in North Georgia for a while. And now I'm just thinking, I I'm going to quit this podcast, go to Waffle House. I'm hash browns. I want them crispy. I'm ready.
So I've never had a bad meal at Waffle House ever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Quality.
give me a red level. Give me a controversial, potentially vulnerable icebreaker.
Well, don't do it. But like, what's your greatest fear? I went out to lunch last week.
Oh God.
I was in New York City this past weekend, and somebody said, "Okay, let's do an icebreaker. Let's say, what's your greatest fear?" I was like, "No, let's not do that one. I don't like that one. That I just met you, and that also takes you to a negative place, right? So that's in the same line as like, what was your worst first date? So those things are not additive to the room. They actually don't help. Like knowing what somebody's first date was doesn't actually help. And so they're getting at the wrong intention of the icebreaker. Later on in the evening for my events, I suggest doing a yellow level, and the favorite one that I like is say your name, say what you do for work. We always say those two things because people forget, and it's important to know that.
Yeah.
And then say and share your favorite piece of media that you've consumed over the last couple of months. Could be a book, a podcast, a movie, a Netflix show you binge watched, a great podcast like this, even a long-form article, but share that. Now, why does that work well? Because people love to hear new suggestions from their friends and colleagues. They love to get in-person recommendations. It's additive to the room. Everybody's getting new ideas, and the room feels smarter.
Yeah, I love that. And also, I think names are tough. There's something about when you say your name, you like black out for a second and say, I said my name weird, and then completely miss what their name was. But if they said, hey, I'm Tracy and I love House of Dragons, I'm like,
yes,
that's the House of Dragons girl.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Exactly. And she's got the name tag, and so then she remembers that, which is really helpful. So doing an icebreaker that's additive. Here's another example. Say your name and say what you do for work, and then say one of the best purchases you've made over the last year that's $100 or less. It could be an object or an experience. And you get all these ideas for kitchen gadgets, Airbnb experiences, new electronic equipment. It's cool. It's good. I like that one.
Kitchen gadgets. The first thing I thought was whale watching.
Whale watching, exactly. That's where most people go. You're right.
Love it. So worth it. I saw 30 whales. Don't even get me started. The guy was like, this is really weird. Usually we only see like 3 to 5. We've seen 30 today.
Where was
really
it?
Lucky.
Where?
Up in Cape Cod.
In Cape Cod. Cool.
I left part of my voice up there as well.
Nice. Cape Cod whale watching. Ace.
It was so good. Okay, a quote that I loved from your book. You can get 80% of the benefits by hosting a dinner party with 20% of the work by hosting a cocktail party. Right. I love that. It's such an easy way to visualize it. Tell me more about that.
Well, I hosted hundreds of events. So how did I get started on this journey? I moved to New York City, and I didn't know a lot of people. I wasn't very outgoing or very sociable. You might hear me yelling and screaming on this podcast and think that's not true. But I can tell you 15 years ago, I didn't even know how to talk to a stranger at the bar. I didn't know that was something you could do to talk to new people. I thought you just met people through your friends. And I would go to these networking events or meetups and not be very successful. The bar's too crowded, or the networking events felt too transactional. And so I decided, instead of going to bad networking events, I'd bring the party to me. And I would start to host my own events, where I would invite half people I knew and half new people I just met or people I wanted to get to know. So I hosted a lot of different events on a lot of different formats. And I found that with dinner parties, just took a lot of work, a lot of stress. They can't be too big, right? Naturally, a group of more than 6 people will bifurcate. So if you're going to host, pro tip, if you're going to host a dinner party, no more than 6 people total, because then the table conversation will split into multiple side conversations. But True. 6 is about the natural number. More than 6 and it will split up, and that's not as ideal. So I found that I could just get the same, about 80% of the benefits. Now, what you don't get is the depth. For a dinner party, you get deeper with people. You are locked in for 1.5 or 2 hour conversations. At a cocktail party, you're going to have a lot of light, little 5-10 minute chats with people. That's what I want. That's what I wanted, was for people to come to my party and talk to 7 or 8 people for 5 or 10 minutes apiece and meet a bunch of new people to make a new acquaintance. I don't think you'll make a best friend in a cocktail party, but I'll think you make an acquaintance and friendships start there. That's the beginning of everything. So that's why I kind of think. Does that answer the question?
It totally does. It definitely does. And I love what you just said, how you used to be, like, being antisocial can be a choice in a way. Like, you taught yourself how not to be. I love that. How does that affect, like your parents growing up? Like, did they throw parties or did they not? And that's why you got into it? How did you even, like, start this journey of being so social and letting other people be that way too?
My parents didn't host a lot of parties, but you know what my mother did? She was in a bunco club. Have you ever heard of bunco?
Oh my God, my house was so loud because of that every Tuesday.
Yes. How would you describe bunco? So help me, because I don't exactly know. I know there's dice. Is there cards involved?
Oh my God, I have to look it up. Hang on.
Bunco is a game that people
here
play.
we go.
Yes.
A dice game, generally played with 12 or more players, sounds about right, divided into groups of 4 trying to score points while taking turns rolling 3 dice. Yeah, and I always remember them screaming and throwing $5 bills around my house.
Yes.
Lots of wine was flowing.
Yeah. So that's that. And it does sound really good. It's a fun game. It's a fun activity. And my mom was in a bunco club or something. But no, I didn't grow up hosting parties, but I think I would use hosting as a way to make friends. Maybe my friends would come over and, like, play ping pong or something. But then it was really in New York. New York is where it took off like wildfire for me, where I was like, I'm going to do this. I want to be additive. I want to add value. So that's that.
And that's a city as opposed to, I grew up in Louisiana. I think it'd be harder for people in Louisiana to say, I'm going to go out at 8 p.m. than it is in New York. So what a great place to start your journey. Yeah. Everyone's always down to do something fun. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know pre-COVID party hangs versus post-COVID. Because even the most social of people now have, like, some little tiny inkling of social anxiety. How has that affected the whole party game?
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who read my book, and she was in Victoria, Canada, and she hosted a party for her neighbors last week. And she said, I invited, 40 people, and I thought that maybe half of them would show up because of COVID concerns or other things. She said everybody showed up, and they were just dying for connection. Now, COVID is real. You should use your own judgment and your own safety for what you think is appropriate and suitable for gathering indoors. I'm not a scientist, follow the science. But I've been enjoying having these gatherings, and I think that people are dying for it, and they really want to crave the connection. I found that COVID really washed out almost a whole generation of hosts who used to always host. We went into lockdowns, and they completely lost their momentum. I can't tell you how many people I've heard, oh, we used to host these dinner parties. Oh, we used to have a Christmas party. Oh, we used to have a 4th of July party. And I said, oh, like, what happened? Well, we stopped during COVID. So I think, and I hope to inspire a whole new generation of hosts with my book and these ideas.
Your book was so easy to, I read it in one day.
That's the best compliment ever.
Well, it's just, it's not hard to digest.
Right.
You don't have to have, like, a certain personality for it to be applicable to your life. It's really, for me, I threw one party in my whole life. It was a Halloween party. I invited 15 people and 40 people came. And I was panicking the entire time. I was like, who are these people? Like, I was asking people I've never met in my life, are you having fun? And they were like, who are you? I'm like, I live here. Like, who are you?
You're right.
But it was stressful. I didn't get to enjoy it once because I was just making sure everyone else was having a great time. Ugh.
That does happen. And let's talk about that. The role of the host is a thankless task sometimes. What I hope to come up with my book is the concept of the MVP, the minimum viable party. So if you're a corporate event planner, if you're planning offsites, if you're thinking about this, know that number one, my thesis is that your employees and your team want it. They will appreciate the structure. And there's an easy way to do it with just limited structure. Let me give you one example of an idea that might help for these businesses.
Yeah.
It's in the section of my book that talks about reminder messages, and it's a secret weapon I have called guest bios. Guest bios are my secret weapon to drive attendance and to increase engagement. And they're a few sentences, maybe one or two, about each of the attendees. So maybe one could be, Connor Ann just moved to a new town. She recently got a dog. Ask her about her dog. It's a little conversational accessibility point to give people ideas and inspiration of what to talk about at the party or the happy hour or at the event. What do you think about that, Connor Ann?
I think that's genius. You know what you're getting into. It's not just like a big, gigantic surprise. And
Right.
It probably tells you how many people are going, which is a whole other thing. I'm like, okay, I got invited to this book club, which is great, but are 12 girls going to be there or 40? I'm not sure. And that would
Right.
affect my attendance, knowing the answer to that.
Right,
So-
and how you prepare and how you think about it and everything. So yeah. Now, you don't have to do this for every single person. What I recommend in my book is doing it for half or more of your attendees. I try to err on the side of doing more rather than less. And the important thing is this is not a Forbes 30 under 30. You're not going to ask for everybody's permission and approval of all of the bios. You're just going to write something out. It's casual, it's private. You just share it there to all the attendees. So
Yeah.
you got to do that.
I like that. What about invitations? Because I feel like when someone sends me an invitation in my email, it sometimes can just get, like, I love the idea of a Harry Potter wax stamp letter arriving in my mailbox,
Okay.
but that's not how it works. You know, you get a little Evite and then it gets lost. And
Yes.
like, how can you tackle that?
Okay, first things first. Please promise me, now raise your right hand, promise me I will never use Evite again for anything. I'm talking to you both, Kenny there as well. You cannot use Evite. Evite, there's ads, there's spam. It takes forever to load. The mobile experience is terrible. What are the
Totally.
platforms that I like? Okay, my favorite one that I use for all my events and my friends, and I recommend, is called Mixily, Mixily. The youth love Partyful, which is very good on sending messages on text. The youths love Partyful. I like Mixily. I like Paperless Post occasionally. I don't like Facebook events. They're easy to miss. I don't like Evite. I don't like Eventbrite. I don't like anything I have to register for. But here's the thing. You're not going to mass blast and spam these invitations. You're going to send them one-to-one. You're going to text Connor Ann, hey, Connor Ann, I'm thinking of hosting a happy hour for new people at the office in 2 weeks. If we do it on Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m., could you come? Would you come? And you ask your core group, that's the first 5 people who you look to get yeses from, whether they would do it. And then the other people, hey, we're hosting a happy hour on Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. Can I send you the info? You're getting their buy-in. Can I send you the info? Not will you come for sure, but can I send you the info? And then hopefully they'll say yes. And then you send them a link to register and RSVP. Now, registering is as simple as them putting in their name and their email, and you'll use their emails to send them the reminder messages. We want to send 3 reminder messages leading up to the event.
I like that. So it's just like, hey, don't forget, you're 1,000% coming to my party.
Yeah, it's just a simple top of mind. It's like, what's up? The party is 1 week away. I'm excited. My puppy's excited. Look at this funny photo of me and my dog. I will see you in 1 week. 4 days beforehand, you'll send them another message. Hey, everybody, here's the details. The party's coming up. I can't wait to see you guys. Here's the address. Here's the time. Here's the page you signed up on. And here's the guest bios of some of the people that you'll meet when you attend. And then you send basically that same message again the morning of, hey, everybody, party tonight. Cannot wait to see everybody. Here's the details again below. See you tonight. And that's it.
You are good. It's like you're a professional party planner or something.
It's like I've hosted hundreds of these. Now, what happens when you send those 3 reminder messages and that people who've read my book and report, I've talked to over 100 people who've read my book, hosted their first party, and actually done it. They're reporting more than a 93% attendance ratio.
How good.
Which is pretty good. It's good, right? It's very
pretty good. That's an A.
It's an A. It's an A.
Wait, how does that make you feel, first of all? This is your first book, right?
It's my first book, probably the only book that I would do. It's great, and it's very nice, and it's my mission to talk and connect with 500 people. So Connor Ann and Kenny, I'm going to try to twist your arms to try to host your own version of this. If you're new to town, great way to meet new people. If you've lived there for a while, great way to see people you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And so just wait and anticipate. I'm going to ask you to set the date on your calendar for 3, 4, 5 weeks out on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday night. And I promise you, everything will fall into place when you follow the book. Who to invite, how to do it, what to buy. Doesn't take a lot, by the way. You can do the whole thing for under $100.
What?
It's
true. What do you mean?
It's true. Easy. Minimal supplies. This is minimum viable party.
I feel like I'd spend $100 just on like a bottle of tequila and some chips.
Absolutely not. We are not getting top shelf tequila for our friends. Let's be honest, Conrad. You're just going to get a case of White Claws.
You're so right. You're so right. That's exactly what I would do. Just a couple High Noons and a bag of salt and vinegar chips. Call it a day.
I want some salt and vinegar chips. I'm so hungry now.
That's my go-to. Something I loved that you said, which is going to change my entire life, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights. Plan your parties on those nights because they're not competitive social nights. You are a genius. Every birthday party I ever throw in the future is going to be a Taco Tuesday extravaganza because that's so smart.
Oh, now I want tacos. Look.
I'm so sorry.
Here's what
food.
No, it's great. I love it. Here's what I feel about birthday parties, by the way. You have to host your birthday on the actual day of your birthday.
Oh.
None of this, my birthday week, my birthday month. No. Absolutely. No.
Okay, birthday month. That is so greedy. The birthday monthers. Come on.
It's greedy, and we have to really put our foot down. We have to put our foot down and say, no, you don't deserve that. It has to be held on the actual day of your birthday because on the day of your birthday, your friends will do whatever you want them to do. You can ask for favors. You can do unique activities and experiences. So I feel strongly about that.
I like doing an experience 100%. Like, obviously, I just said whale watching. I love shit like that. Anything you can buy on Groupon, I'm in.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in for that too. And also Airbnb experiences. Are you doing those?
No, tell me more.
You gotta try them. Look them up in wherever you just moved. Look them up. Airbnb experiences. They will be good ones. They're great.
Ooh, and you were talking about the 5 weeks out thing. So Kenny and I were discussing this before you hopped on, because in celebration of this episode, we are going to throw a party at Kenny's house in about 4 weeks, and we're going to implement your entire book, and we're going to prove the theory, the Nick formula. Correct.
This makes me so happy. What date did you guys pick?
All right, so let me pull up the calendar here. So
I'm like,
soft circling. I would like to do either the Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving, because that whole week, basically everyone's so chill, they're hanging out. And so Monday, Tuesday before Thanksgiving for everyone that stayed in town, I think it's fantastic.
Love it. I love doing sooner rather than later. So you're thinking the 21st. That's the Monday. Yep. Cool. Monday, November 21st. I'm putting you down, and this is going to be great. I'm locking it in. And so after this call, what you need to do, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I'm curious about this idea. How do I host something for my colleagues or for my friends? Well, your first step, now that you've found the date, is to pick your time. What time do you think you guys would do? When I was in New York, I did later, 7 to 9. But in Austin, things are earlier. So I do here 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. What do you think would be good there?
I feel like Florida's like a 5 to 7. It's like happy hour. It's light outside. What do you think? What do you think, Kenny?
I was going 6 to 8 just because we have crazy traffic here.
Oh,
And if
true.
people do wrap up at 5, you need to give them a little bit of time. So I was thinking 6 to 8.
That's the epitome of someone that has lived in Orlando for one day. I'm
Yes.
like, oh yeah, traffic. Traffic is so real here. It's not even funny.
So say that you did, I mean, even if you compromised and you did 5:30 to 7:30 or 6 to 8, whatever. Now you have your time. Now you need to think about who the first 5 people are that are your core group who you would want to invite. These are your close colleagues, your coworkers. They could be your friends or your neighbors. We're not trying to pick people that we really want to impress. So you're not maybe going to invite the CEO of the company to your first party because you want to just practice and build that muscle of hosting. So what you guys have to do after this call is think about your first 5 and text them, hey, me and my colleague are hosting a happy hour on Monday, November 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. If we do it, would you come? And you're going to try to get 5 yeses.
That's a great thing because there's been so many times where I almost pulled the trigger on throwing a party. And then I'm like, well, I want to invite 10 people. And if only 2 show up, that's bad. Yeah, that's genius.
That's the number one fear that people have is that they'll host a party and nobody will come. A guy sent me an email this morning. He said, hey, I just read your book. I was Googling last night. I'm hosting a housewarming party on Friday, and I'm starting to invite people. I said, bro, it's Wednesday. You're hosting a party this Friday? No
one's coming.
No one's coming. That day is a red level day, and you've only given 2 days for invitations. There's so many things wrong. I said, here's my phone number. Call me immediately. We need to workshop this.
I love that.
Is that person by the chance named Adrian, my college roommate, who texted us a month before his wedding? It was like, dude, I'm having a wedding in 30 days. And we're like, what?
Excuse me?
A wedding in 30 days? It's a little tight. Tell me more. And so it wasn't Adrian.
It very well may be your friend Adrian. Wow, wedding in 30 days is aggressive. That's amazing, especially if you had to travel to it or anything. Wow.
Yeah. It was, but it was very on brand. So I was like, of course we would get the group text message, be like, wedding, ? 30 days, ? You guys in, ?
Oh my God, that makes me anxious. Whew.
Incredible.
He's like,
weddings,
there's no food.
Yeah. No food. It's just BYOB. A lot of people are doing these elopement wedding things. They're just getting eloped with small crowds. I've seen packages on my ads on Instagram where people are doing like $2,000 weddings. They're very basic and simple. Kind of interesting. Stuff's getting shaken up.
I love to see
My brother is doing this exact thing. So he was going to get married in Sarasota, Florida. And I guess the venues and everyone getting a little greedy, everyone connected to the wedding industry. And so he got a bill. He couldn't do the wedding for under like 40, 50 grand. And he's like, I can't do the $40,000, $50,000 wedding. So he's going out to Yellowstone, shrinking it down, doing like maybe 15 to 25 people. And so I feel like I'm going to pass along his book or your book to him so he can kind of check it out because they're doing very non-traditional.
Yes.
And then in speaking of weddings, I think one of the awesome things about weddings that I enjoy is the structure to a wedding. So like, I know you've talked about this, but you always get stuck in conversations that are like, oh, maybe I should wiggle out of this. The nice thing about weddings is they are very structured, so you never get stuck in anything. And I feel like you've given a lot of thought to the structure of the 2-hour event. So could you please kind of dazzle us? Because I think it's genius how you walk through the structure of the 2 hours.
Yes. So what I'm thinking of for the 2-hour event, like a happy hour or a cocktail party, is I'm looking to increase the activity and the collisions happening in the room. I want activity and movement. And when we do the icebreakers, it's not just to start new conversations, but also to end existing conversations. It's an excuse to bail. So one little hack is that one I told you, what's your favorite piece of media or favorite purchase? I'll give people a 5-minute warning. I'll say, hey, everybody, in 5 minutes, we're going to do the last icebreaker. The question will be this. Go ahead and use the time now to think about it, get a refill, or freshen up if you need to. And that's an easy way for somebody, I better go get a drink. He's going to do this. Nice to meet you. It's a way for them to start up a new convo in that 5 or 10 minutes. We use these icebreakers to give several breaks throughout the event to get people to mix it up a little bit. So that's really important. What else can I say about the structure? In the book, I lay out a minute-by-minute guideline that runs through 2.5 icebreakers, a group photo, and then ending the party on time. And I just find that people appreciate that structure, that idea of leading your party with generous authority. What you don't want is the host who's like, I'm not going to do name tags. I'm not going to do icebreakers. I'm a cool host. I'm a chill host. I just want it to happen naturally. Well, maybe that's nice as the host because you know everybody. But think about the experience as a new employee, as a new neighbor, as the +1 of somebody you've invited. They don't know anybody. And so I'm increasingly thinking about, for people that are socially anxious, that have anxiety, that are just shy, that are introverted, how can we make them feel welcome? And the guest bios help, the name tags help, saying the structure of the icebreakers help, letting people know a brief agenda of what's going to happen. Those things help give us an idea. By the way, I have an idea for is it your brother's wedding, Kenny?
My brother, yeah.
So here are some things for a wedding that I think would work well. Number 1, the guest bios. Guest bios will work very well. And you could even help your brother by saying, hey, let me help you write these up. I heard about this in this book. Let's hop on a phone call. You talk and I will write down and type. Number 2, name tags on the first night. On anything for the first night. I even suggested this to a really good friend whose name was also Nick. He did a bachelor party. I said, bro, just do name tags on the first night. If you don't want to do them the whole weekend, that's fine. But do them the first night. Nobody's going to know each other. And it was a big, big success. So I think those 2 things, name tags on the first night and the guest bios, at a bare minimum, can help things like bachelor parties and weddings.
Can we make like a societal rule that we all just have to wear name tags all the time? Like I feel like that would encourage more conversation, right?
Please.
Your name's Nick, my name's Nick. What's up, dude? Automatically friends. I like the idea of that.
It's perfect. We should do it.
I have a question that you might not be able to say names in the answer, but have you ever had to handle a party situation where you had like a party crasher or somebody who's been overserved or like any like nightmare party situations?
Good question. So I've hosted hundreds of parties and hundreds of events, and the most common problem that I would have, which actually can happen when you start to host more, is that more people come than you had planned. People want to bring their friends. They want to, just more people come. I remember one weird night in New York City. I hosted a party and the weather turned bad and everything else sort of canceled. And everybody's kind of out looking for something. And they're like, I was going to this thing. Like, do you guys want to come with me? And like, we thought we'd have 20 people, and instead literally like 45 people came. So many people came that my coat rack actually collapsed into just like a pile of coats. Now, I have had one specific instance where someone was overserved, but I've hosted hundreds of parties. I can tell you that question, while valid and I know where it's coming from, really happens surprisingly less. When you add structure and conversation, when you create opportunities for connection, people don't overdrink. They overdrink when the music is too loud, when it's dark, when there's nothing to do but drink. At these events, you don't really drink that much.
Yeah, it would be so embarrassing to be that person that's like too turnt after 2 hours.
Right.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Too turnt tequila Tony.
Get it together, Tony.
Come on,
okay,
Tony.
I have a few questions. We're going to relate it to more like the corporate world because I love the small intimate party. It's kind of foolproof. But what if you have like 60 people at a corporate team dinner? Like, how the heck do you organize something like that?
Well, here's what I'm going to do at a corporate team dinner. If I have 60 people, I'm like we talked about before, I'm going to split them up into groups of 6, maximum 6, potentially 7. And I'm going to give each table a facilitator. And I'm going to do brief training with the facilitator beforehand to say such things as, if you're not cutting people off, you're not doing a good job. If you're not moving it along, you're not facilitating enough. Your job is to help and support the entire table, not be nice to one person. I would give the facilitator some questions that are appropriate, but that are also exciting to help start the dinner with a round of introductions. Let's everybody go around the table and introduce yourself. The moderator or facilitator should always go first. So that's some things that I would think about. I would definitely do a happy hour beforehand so people can mix and mingle a little bit. That can be more unstructured. But those are some things. For a group of 60, that's what I'm thinking of right off the bat.
Nice. I had a friend who had a team offsite recently for her business, and she was like, we all sat down at different tables. There's about 10 people per table. And in the middle of the table, there was a Cards Against Humanity game. And so everybody played Cards Against Humanity before they got their food. I was like,
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, that's neat. I don't hate that.
Slightly potentially inappropriate depending on what your business is. Maybe pick a different game. But I was like, I like that idea. Like a little game. Everyone gets a little embarrassed at least one time, and now we're all ready to be friends.
Yes.
Love it. Is there something other than a dinner party? Because that's so common in the corporate world that people could throw in order to boost team morale.
Is there something else what could they do on an off-site for 60 people? We're still thinking that?
We could go like anywhere from like 20 to 60. I mean, just more than 20 people.
Yeah. I think, so these things are hard, and they are hard to do well, and they take a lot of thought. And there are people who specialize in 20 to 60 people coming up with games or activities. There's a game, for example, that I like to play. It's an advanced game that takes good facilitation skills called Speed Icebreakers. Speed Icebreakers is a game where you would split the room up and put them in 2 lines facing each other, and everybody would get about 1 minute to answer a question that the host would share, and then one line will step down. So everybody then gets a new partner to talk to and meet. And in about 15 minutes, then you can meet 15 new people, and then you break the room up, and everybody goes and mixes and mingles some more. So Speed Icebreakers, there's games like this and modules and activities that can be done. But for the scope of what we're speaking about, I think it's safer to know that if you do a 2-hour happy hour, if you do a cocktail party for 15 to 30 people, you can follow this formula to stay strong and that it'll be very successful. By the way, ideally, you're only having 15 to 20 people that are at the cocktail party. If you go above 25, the icebreaker needs to be tightened up, and you need to run it fast. You need to run it very fast. So occasionally someone has messaged me, oh my God, I just read your book. Way more people. I really screwed up. I got overambitious. Everybody said yes. 35 people are coming. What do I do? I say, you need to remember a good icebreaker is a fast icebreaker. You're going to tighten it. You're going to say your name and say briefly what you do in 10 words or less. That's the first one for 35 people. And then the last one, similar idea, what's value additive to the room, but tighten it down. Tighten it down. So
yeah, they need to answer as fast as I said waffles amongst 35 people.
Boom, boom, fast.
Perfect.
Waffles. You knew it. Oh, back to the food now. I want to go to Waffle House.
Oh my God, that sounds so an omelet. Oh, anyways, we'll get there. We're close.
Hey Nick, I have a question. Have you ever read The Great Gatsby?
I have. Yes, I've read The Great Gatsby, and I think Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a line in it. I'll probably butcher it, but I think one of the main characters talks about how she likes large parties because they're so intimate. And because in large parties, I feel like what you're saying is the bigger that the group gets, the more you need to break it down into smaller parties so you can get closer to that 10, 15 mark. And so I loved how you kind of think through that even if you had 60 or 100 people, that you're doing things to actually like break it down to get more into your natural wheelhouse of like the 6 to 10 to 15. So I was wondering if you ever got any kind of influence from this system from like other systems. So like, was it something that you read? Was it all trial and error? Or like, how did you get to some of these things?
So, great question. The idea that I shared about the 6 or less for dinner, I think I first heard about that in the book The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. She also talks about the idea of the cool host or the chill host, and so how instead you need to lead your party with generous authority. So she's a great thinker on the strategy for gatherings. As far as my experience with my events and with my formula, that came through hosting hundreds of events and experimenting with all different things, and then teaching about 40 or 50 people using a Google Doc over the last 6 years how this formula could replicate to other people so that they would always be successful. And so I'm trying to think of a good example. The snacks. I found and got feedback from somebody, this one woman, her name is Courtney. She said, you know what, your snacks were fine, but I've started to serve grapes, and everybody loves grapes. And I said, I never thought about grapes. Grapes are perishable. They seem slightly hard to get, but let me try it. And so I asked a couple people, hey, at your next party, serve grapes. I want to see how they go. And then I asked people afterwards, what were the most popular snacks? Grapes are very popular. They're sweet, they're handheld, they're refreshing, and they generally go well with beverages.
Shocked.
And so people love the grapes. So I thought that was interesting.
Red or green? Red or green?
Oh, I like green. What do you like?
I gotta go red. I'm sorry. It's just,
yeah.
All right, so Nick, if we throw our party on November 21st, is there a thing in this ever-evolving thesis and system that you have, is there a thing that you would like us to like A/B test? So the grapes is a good example.
Yeah.
Would you want us to, is there something emerging on the feedback that you're getting that we could wrinkle and then report back to you?
Yes. Number one, you must not forget to take your group photo. Your group photo will be very helpful, and I want you to tell me how that goes.
Okay.
So I think that's just something that I'm being keenly aware of. Is there something to A/B test? There's some other stuff. You guys follow up. Somebody follow up with me, and I'll give you some new things. And anybody listening to the podcast, I can tell you some new things that I'm demoing.
I love that the group photo can be like a postcard. Like you could send it in an email and be like, "We had so much fun. Did you have fun?" I love that.
That's what you're going to do the morning afterwards. For A/B testing, I think the biggest thing is that I want you and your listeners to know, number one, you two are going to be very successful with this because you're co-hosting and you're each an accountability buddy. That is very hard for me to find in individual readers of my book. So if I find someone and talk to someone, oh my gosh, you read this book? Well, go find your neighbor. Well, the neighbor hasn't read my book. Both of you know about this. We've had the conversation. So that's going to be successful. The biggest thing that can help you both and your listeners is that you will get the most out of this when you make hosting a habit. We find out about the best opportunities, new employees to hire, new partnerships, new business deals, not through our best friends, but through our acquaintances. You find out about new customers through that random LinkedIn connection. It's not your next door neighbor who's like, fighting for your sort of interests. It's these random people that just exist in our world. And so if Conrad and Kenny can host something every 6 weeks, every 2 months, whatever cadence you find, you'll start going through life collecting all of these people that it's natural. You bump into a neighbor. Oh, me and my friend Kenny actually host this cocktail party for new people we meet. Like, can I send you the information to it? You're at a yoga class. Oh, hey, I just like your style. I'm hosting a cocktail party in a couple of weeks. Can I send you the information? It's using that as an excuse to meet new people. And everybody wants to be invited to a party. Everybody wants to feel wanted and invited. Whether they come or not is another thing, but everybody will be thankful that you invited them to your party.
That's so deep. That's so true. People do, like, you just feel so special. Even if you're like, I'm definitely not going to that.
Right?
It feels good to be invited, of
It
course.
feels great to be invited. It feels great.
I'm going to throw like a housewarming party because I've been living in this place for a day and I don't know any of my neighbors. So I was going to do a big like Christmas come over, don't bring anything, like I just love to meet you thing.
Yes, yes.
But I am a little worried about. I'm not worried, but it's just there'll probably be like 10 people that I do know and 25 people that I don't. So
Okay, that's already too many people, Conran.
Breaking the formula.
That's 35. So let's take baby steps. You're an overachiever, and so that's why you're trying to do this, but just be careful. Just try to keep it tight and controlled.
But I have to invite all of my neighbors, right?
Let's baby steps. We can workshop this. You and
He's
Kenny
like,
do your
no.
party first. Yeah.
That's so cool too, because there's so many interesting people that you meet just every single day in life that you feel like I want to see them again. And
Yes.
you're not gonna like maybe one-on-one go to coffee, but being like, hey, come to a party. It's so cash.
It's so cash, and they love the invite, and it's less of a locked in than a dinner party. A dinner
Yeah.
party is like intent, but a cocktail's easy. And we use that phrase cocktail party because it represents a lightweight social gathering. You don't have to have alcohol. It's not about the alcohol. It's about the conversations. As
Yeah.
long as that phrase cocktail party, it's been about the people. So that's what's most helpful.
I love that. And it's such an easy invite. Like getting invited to a happy hour sounds very casual.
Right?
There's no dress code. Come as you are. Bring a
It's
bottle
true.
of wine if you have good manners.
Right?
I love that. Well, I'm so happy you came and hung out with us today. Honestly, I'm really excited for Kenny and I's party. I'm gonna video like mostly the entire thing and send it to you.
Please, I need the content for my fire Instagram. I want the content. Take it. You know, I don't have to tell you.
You hear this, you guys? Fire Instagram. Why don't you plug all the things? Your book, all your socials. Give it to me.
Okay, great. So I recorded the audiobook for my book. You can find it on Audible, Apple Books, Spotify, wherever you listen to books, you can find my book there. And then you can buy it on Amazon. And it's like a workbook. If you haven't seen the book, there's checklists, there's diagrams. It feels good in your hands. I'm very proud of it. My name is Nick Gray. The book is called The 2-Hour Cocktail Party, How to Build Big Relationships with Small Gatherings. I'm happy to send any listeners an executive summary of the book as a PDF, and you can go to my website and find that there. It's www.nickgraynews.com, and that's me on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere, at Nick Gray News, News. That's me.
And did you hear it? Someone DM'd him and he gave them his phone number. You Looney Tune. You're so accessible.
I love to talk about parties.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you are just such a chatty, likable guy. I can totally see why you're the host king.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you guys.
Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Bye, Nick.